Hello, hello, out there in podcast and Twitch land. I am SoloBase15. You are here for the Gambit podcast, and I am here with my good friend Zareth. Zareth, how are you tonight?
Doing well tonight, Solo. I'm sleepy for some reason. So
Man, I hear that. we're
yeah.
still we're still catching up from Friday night and the round table.
Oh man, that's such a fun event. But yeah, that taxes the body.
All right, so Gig, good to see you. Thank you, sir. All right, why don't we get started with all the news out there in SWGOH in the past week, of which there is very little. We did have an update last week, and actually it's not a huge update, but it does add Queel and IG11 to the farming grounds. They both hit nodes, and they're both cheap nodes. So they're actually not that bad to farm, considering that they're on hard nodes. You know, what's your feelings on all this?
Um, I mean, it's pretty much as expected. They've been kind of rearranging the hard nodes to. I mean, I always wondered what the sense of it was. Like they had a bunch of just random character nodes where you could farm them like on multiple different things, and I guess that's nice if you're trying to farm like good characters. It's nice to be able to use your energy to kind of spread it out and not have to pay for refreshes. But at the same time, none of the good characters were like that really. Like what was one of them, like replaced Imagoon D or something?
Yeah, I don't remember who they replaced, but there were nobody that anybody cared about.
Right.
It's
And so I'm just like, actually, was one of those, is it on the TIE Bomber node? Is
um
that what it is? I don't know. We can check some other time. But I think, yeah, one way or another. I
yeah,
just
Queel is on the Tie Bomber node.
Yeah, so that's nice. Like that's actually super nice. I mean, I farmed it on both of my accounts already. So like my alt is going to have to start. Oh, I've got to start farming those on my alt. Um, I haven't actually made that adjustment yet, that mental adjustment, but I will. Don't worry, I'll stop farming Krennic, everyone. Don't you worry. Well, how do you feel about it, Solo?
um, well, my main already has both of them, so and the Tie Bomber, but my alt account is going to love it. Once he starts farming them. My alt account is not quite there yet. I have 102 shards left to go on Cara Dune and about 153 shards left on Admiral Piet, and then I can start farming Queel and IG11. So once I start it, I'm going to be so happy. I just not there yet, unfortunately.
Can I just say your alt is super weird? Because
Probably.
yeah, well, okay, so that wasn't as insulting as I meant to, or as I meant it, guys. Totally meant it to be more insulting. No, other way around. Here's the thing: my alt, which is significantly lower in GP and can't even use those characters hardly, already has them all farmed. Like have been farmed for weeks now. So
Yeah, but I have Jedi Master Luke and Ray. That's,
right,
I mean, you have to make sacrifices depending on how you build your roster. And honestly, going for the second GL, I was hardcore focused on Jedi Master Luke for like 4 or 5 months, and so I just wasn't farming those two. And actually, you know what it was? It was that when I took my small break literally a year ago, I fell behind on ships. And so I didn't have Hyena, I didn't have Vulture, and I didn't have Galactic Republic Y Wing. And so once they added the second fleet to Grand Arena, I had to start panic farming those ships, and that set me behind on the Mando characters.
uh,
That's really what the culprit is. But now, I figure I'm just gonna go for Sith Eternal first on my alt, and so I'm more focused on Piet and don't care if I have to wait a little bit for 11 or Queel. That's because I'm when I say I'm so close to Sith Eternal, what I'm saying is I counted all the gear and I'm closer to Sith Eternal than a fully geared up Beskar Mando. As sad as
That's
that
so
is,
weird.
that's that is so sad. But I had when these guys first came out, when Luke and Sith Eternal came out, I already had like 80% of the characters needed for Sith Eternal at G12. So that's where they still are, because I went for Jedi Master Luke first, but it's such a quick turnaround. It's literally just, furnaces and Kyrotechs needed. I don't need to gear anyone up from purple to gold. It was just, all right, just need to get them all G13 now.
Right. Well, yeah. So, man, it's so interesting actually. Just this choices. Like one of the things I love about this game is how everyone arrives at different decisions at different points. Like
Yeah.
it's never the same situation. Like people ask me for advice from time to time about their roster, and sometimes I even like deign to reply. But well, I say that I do if someone says it respectfully and like they don't just like throw me their like GG account and say, hey, what should I do next? Because I'll literally take a glance, see one thing that I think could be better, and just tell them to work on that and move on.
Oh,
Like if
yeah. Yeah.
I've done that several times and people don't appreciate it, but I don't appreciate them doing that. But if they're like legit like want some just like like hey, I'm in this situation and like I'm closer to Sith Eternal right now, but I think it would be better for my account to go for Supreme Leader Kylo than what excuse me like
Bless you.
what should I do? Then I'll talk to him about it. But it seems like it's never just like the exact same situation. Everyone's got their own unique, like problems and issues with their roster development. And like I don't say that in a negative way. Like I have problems and issues with my own. Like I just, if using that terminology, I just think that it is really interesting that people all arrive at different situations. Like this game is so diverse already.
It's yeah. Everybody, every roster is a little different, and what really showed me that is, so I spent a long time recruiting for my guilds, and so you talk to a lot of recruits, and it's funny because for our top guild, which is the guild that I'm in now, and so is your alt is in now, we have certain standards that you want to live up to. You need to have so many mods, um, now cam shards, etc. But you look at people's rosters, and one 6.6 million account is not equal to another 6.6 million account, and it's really interesting when you start diving into people's accounts and you look at it and it's like, oh, 6.6 million, 2 GLs, this is going to be a solid account. And then you're going through and you're like, what did they gear? And sometimes you
Right.
honestly can't find what they actually geared, because everybody is like gear 12. Or no, gear 12 is a little high. Everybody's like gear 11 or just gear 12 with no extra pieces. And you're like, wow. It's like,
Yeah.
wow. All right.
I know. I saw an account the other day. I was initially very impressed with it. I was like, wow, like this is really good, super efficient. And maybe it still is, but like so I was looking at their GP, I'm like, man, what are they missing here? Because it seems like it's like on par with what I'm doing. And when I looked, let's see, what didn't they have? Like once I finally dug into it, they didn't have any bounty hunters at all. So they didn't even have the Millennium Falcon.
Yeah.
Like they barely had a seven Sir Chewie kind of thing.
Oh, wow.
and there was no bounty hunters, no night sisters, and was it like no geos or something? It was like three teams that I kind of think of as kind of fundamental, even though we don't use night sisters a whole lot these days, unless it's just like just DACA plus zombie kind of thing. I mean, we still do absolutely use them. Just they're more diminished, but like it is just very interesting. Like, how did you get this far in the game and you don't even have bounty hunters? I don't know. Like, not to judge people who don't have bounty hunters. It's just every account I have, including my Prevail Man account, is gonna have bounty hunters because I see them as one of the most key, squads in the game. Like, but people have gotten to pretty high, pretty decent GP levels, and have decent accounts without them. And it's like, your experience in this game must have been so different from mine.
That's yeah, yeah, and sometimes it's just completely by choice. I mean, we know people that have decided to start alt accounts and literally only farm dark side characters, and
Right.
and they're still successful. Like it's it's such an interesting dynamic to me because it's like you literally are intentionally ignoring half the game, and they're very open about it, and it's the way they want to play. It's like, here's a dark side, and you're like, huh, and they still find a way to be successful. And I mean, I think I appreciate that more than just whoever chases whatever the new meta is, which is myself. um but
Right. Like our accounts are in a way like very boring because
right.
there's like the differences between your account and my account really beyond like kind of our modding decisions and stuff. It's very, very small. It's like you have a relic Ezra, I have a relic Ayla, you
Right.
know? Like just like the minutia of it really fails to inspire, in my opinion. But yeah, like I'll tell you what, man, if so I will not play a fourth account. Like I will absolutely, I'll either give away my alt account or my Prevail Man or something. But like one thing that has intrigued me greatly, who was I even talking to? So one of the people who listens to us, you're gonna yell at me now because I guarantee you listen to this cast, but they were telling me how they have an alt. I think it was an alt that they only play like dark side. Like they literally only develop a couple random small characters. Was it Byro? I think maybe. I don't know.
Well, it's Byro and Benjamin's in chat too.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah. Like that intrigues me so much to like not as my main account. I wouldn't want to do that on my main because I want to be like as competitive as possible. And you're by definition like just kind of, hindering yourself, hurting yourself by doing that. But that intrigues me so much. I would love to try that just as an experiment to see how that would, how it would work.
Well, and here's the thing. CG has kind of rewarded that with Galactic Legends. Like, let's say you only want to farm Dark Side. You now have the path to two Galactic Legends, and between those two, you can beat anything on the light side. Now, granted, you don't have like a CLS team. You don't have Jedi Knight Revan. Well, I guess you'd have to have Jedi Knight Revan to get Darth Revan, but you don't have them built up. But you have two Galactic Legends, and the thing is, when you're only building half the roster, a lot of people talk a lot of bad talk about um, GAC matchmaking. When you only have the dark side leveled up, that means you're only going to go up against people that have, say, half their roster leveled up. They might have, a quarter of the light side and a quarter of the dark side leveled up. But your matchmaking is still going to keep you against people that have a similar sized roster. So you can actually compete by only going dark side or only going light side. I personally would probably go the light side path, but maybe that's just to be contrarian with the people we know that are going dark side only.
Yeah, I think I would go dark side. I tend to have like in video games I never go dark side. I'm always light side. Like I can't stand like those the video games where you have decisions, you like kill innocents. I've never had the stomach for that. So I always just I like if I play like a role playing game like
Yeah.
D&D, I'm almost always like worst I can be is like neutral good kind of thing. I just don't have the
Uh,
stomach for it. So and that's gonna add to the narrative of me being wholesome. So damn it all.
yeah, yeah, right.
But I think in this game that doesn't matter as much. Like I would totally I think dark side teams tend to appeal to me a little bit more. I mean, I,
Yeah,
I still love certain teams. I mean, Commander
right.
Luke team is so fun, and
Well,
and all the other light side teams really.
I mean, bounty hunters are your favorite team, so that makes a little sense.
Right.
That's
Well,
and Vader. Bounty hunters and Vader are probably the two that you use the most, so it makes complete
yeah.
sense.
Well, yeah, and I really like Night Sisters, such as just the way their mechanics work, and yeah, I mean, it is what it is, which
Yeah,
I hate that statement, but
yeah.
it is. So
Real
yeah, I
quick,
would.
thank you, Llama. Good to see you here, and we appreciate it.
Oh, thank you.
Um, but yeah, it's so it's very interesting how people build their rosters. I actually have a shard mate. Um, he plays a little less now, but we've been playing together for what 4 or 5 years now. He never went the meta. Like the way he builds his roster, he never went meta. Um, and it was just the way he chose to play. And you know what? He finished first every day. He is a really good player in knowing kits and like how to counter teams and all that type of stuff. He just decided, you know what? I'm not going to I'm not going to use the team that you are. I mean, oh god, what meta was it where he was using a Thrawn lead the entire time? It was probably the Treya meta because he had Magma Trooper. But he just decided I'm never going to do this, and it cost him because he would fall further in arena every day. But he wanted to play with the toys he wanted to play with, and so be it.
Tell you what, if someone wants to do that and they're not gonna ask me to change my arena team every
Right.
day, then huge props to them. Huge
Yeah.
props.
He never he would spend like 500 crystals and refreshes just trying to beat your team before he asked somebody to change their team. The only exception is um, we have one guy in our shard that gets the new toys now to R7 like the day they come out. So every once in a while, he'd ask him to change the new team in the first week before any counters have come out, before he could gear up anything. After that, never, never. I would watch him refresh after refresh, just trying to beat a team so he could learn how to beat it and then eventually take first.
Yeah, and if someone wants to play that way, I mean,
Yeah,
awesome.
that's more power to him.
Yeah,
Um,
huge respect.
yeah. So speaking of playing the way you want to play, uh, we're signing up for 3v3 Grand Arena. And I know we had the round table, but we should probably talk about it on the podcast too. How are you feeling about it?
I don't know. I'm guardedly excited. I think actually.
Yeah,
I mean,
yeah,
there's some. I just now that I have all the Galactic Legends, I don't have that fear hanging over my head. So on a personal level, I am excited. What about you, Solo?
I am cautiously excited. Here's the problem. Here's why I'm not just normally excited for GAs is I don't remember anything we did. I looked at my battles at the end of last 3v3. I looked at my GAC history to start kind of planning out teams to use. I don't remember doing half these counters. Like, clearly I did them. SWGOH.GG says that I did them. no memory at all. Like Jedi Knight Revan Gas Jolie to beat a Jedi Master Luke team. I did it. I did it for 52 banners, I think. No memory at all of doing it. So this first week is going to be spent trying to remember what I did. Because apparently I was doing something right.
Dude, I remember, was it our friend Bowdy who he was saying, well, the only good thing about how we had just found out about 3v3 coming up. And so it's like middle of the season of 5v5. And he's like, the only good thing about 3v3 is at least I'll remember all the teams exactly. And I was like, I don't think it works that way. I think in 3 weeks you'll have forgotten everything, or
Yeah.
like not everything, but like it just can't stay fresh. You're focused on something else, and it isn't fresh. Like I have very strong memories of like specific teams that I wanted to use, and otherwise, you're right. Like it's just all like this big muddle. And the benefit is, of course, I make the videos for YouTube, so I've been going back and just at the very least, like listening to them while I'm working,
Yeah.
and taking a glance every once in a while, just to see what I've been up to, what I so
Yeah.
and really, I mean, that's what I would recommend to people is specifically watch my videos. No,
Oh, that's like
those clicks.
I looked at the history and I was like, huh, look at that. Vader beats the Luke Chupio 3PO team. Had no memory of that, but apparently I did it 3 times in the final week. So there you go, guys. Vader will beat that team if you go first. That is the quintessential key on that one. Your Vader has to be fast enough to go before CLS or
Yeah,
anyone on that team. But
shouldn't be too hard. I mean, that's 3 rebels and you have
yeah,
3 Imperials. Like
uh, it depends. If you have your Vaders like we do in the 270 to 280 range, it's not going to be hard. But I know some people don't have their Vaders over like 240, which. And in 3v3, you have less people on your team to add speed. So, you know, it's. Everybody has limited mods. So it's really who they prioritized in modding.
true. True. Yeah, and that's exactly it. You hear about Gom, and he's like, "Yep, gonna get my Shock T up to like 350 or something." And I'm like, "Oh, so you won't have any mods for anyone else?" He's like, "Oh no, I'll be remodding all the things and I'll have everything that I want." I'm like,
Gom
"Damn you,
doesn't count. Gom does not
damn you
count.
in
His
here
mods
doing
are
mod depth."
absurd.
Yeah,
Um,
I literally hate him. Yeah.
yeah, though I did speed up my Shock T.
Oh yeah, I'm
Only
actually I'll oh go ahead.
yeah, she's not going to be 350. Like I'm not to do that. I have to give her my Darth Revan mods, and quite frankly, I don't want to weaken Darth Revan in 3v3. Like that just
Right.
doesn't make sense to me. I'm more willing to weaken Darth Revan in 5v5 because there's just more counters to him. In 3v3, there's so few counters. I don't want to slow him down and accidentally make somebody Rex faster than my Darth Revan. Um, so I'm keeping Darth Revan there. I got Shock T to 330 though, which is not too shabby. Um, Actually, I got Shock T and Hoda to 330, so I can use either of them with Jedi Knight Luke fairly confidently.
Interchangeably. That's nice.
Yeah.
Yeah, my shock will be like 348, 346, I think actually is what it was last time. It'll
Show
probably be
off.
around the same. No, well, so we talk about trade-offs though. So
Right,
my
right.
Darth Revan will be slower. I'm actually okay with making him a little slower if because the thing is, even if someone wants to use a mirror match on Darth Revan versus Darth Revan, I actually like adding that as a wrinkle to the strategy because then sometimes they don't put their own Darth Revan on defense because they want to counter mine. And if they do want to do it that way, then like I don't have to deal with it first off with their own Darth Revan, and on top of that, uh, they can still fail. Like that, it isn't a foolproof thing. Like just because you have a faster Darth Revan doesn't mean you're going to win that.
Yeah.
And even if you do, it's usually pretty messy.
Yeah.
So, like, I'm actually I like having a little bit slower Darth Revan in fives or in threes just because it adds that additional wrinkle of uncertainty, and that they have to make it makes them a tougher decision. Like they can look at my GAC history and see I always keep them on defense, so they're gonna know, uh, you know,
Yeah.
if they can make their decisions and move forward, I guess. But um, and therefore it affords me the ability to make my shock T faster as well.
Right. Yeah. I so my trade offs were I actually slowed down Bastila and Malik. Not incredibly slow, but I took probably about 10 speed off of them on each of them because they were both were over 310, and now I think one's at 302 and one's at 305. So, uh, you know, that was the trade off. I'm keeping the fast Darth Revan, and part of it, quite honestly, is just to intimidate them, for lack of a better term. It's because people, click and see Darth Revan as 344, and maybe they use a Galactic Legend on my Darth Revan that's going to be sitting front bottom, and don't have said Galactic Legend for whatever's hiding in the back. That's that's the hope, at least.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, it is 3v3, man. I know that people say it's not the game isn't designed for it, or like we're not the game mode isn't whatever. Like it's not designed around the game is not designed around 3v3, and I agree with that. Um, there's still a lot of interesting decisions to be made though in 3v3.
Yeah, and if not more, just because there's more teams,
True.
and not just more in the number of teams, more in the way people are breaking up the teams. Because if you in 5v5 and somebody places a first order team, there's not that many options to place. In 3v3, I mean, there could be a Huxled team, there could be a KRU team, there's a Phasma team, and then there's like 9 interchangeable parts that they could have on that team, and each one deserves a different counter. In 5v5, you see about 2 different teams. Like that's, you know, the every 5v5 there's one of 2 first order teams that you see just because there's less options to mix and match them. That makes sense.
Isn't it weird how 3v3 you'd think that there'd be more cut and dry teams because there's only 3 options. So you'd like, okay, I need a tank and a DPS and a lead and all
Yeah.
three. So I'm gonna do the one that makes sense for all three and just call it good. But in a lot of ways, there is actually more diversity in 3v3. It's very strange.
Oh, there's a lot more diversity. And it's a lot harder to counter the better teams. Like in 5v5 for a Vader team to counter Ray, you need those 5 pieces. Like maybe one of them can be interchangeable depending on the Ray team that you're facing, but the entire team is pretty important. You can't do that in 3v3. You can't build attacker, tank, support, Watt. Like it's that's 4 people right there already. You've already overdone the quota. So it's I don't know. 3v3 is interesting. I don't think the game mode is for it. I don't think it's balanced. It's not the way I prefer to play. But and I'm gonna be miserable tomorrow night when I'm sitting there trying to figure out defenses to place for multiple accounts. I'm literally gonna be miserable. Don't talk to me, anybody, tomorrow night while I'm doing this. um,
Yeah, don't do it. You'll regret it.
you will. Uh, but there is a lot of thought that goes into this, and uh, you know that is why we enjoy this game mode. Is kind of the strategy behind it.
Right. Well, and so, you hear us complain about 3v3 solo more than me, but I still find it really frustrating. It's more frustrating than 5v5. There are still like We still play it though.
Oh yeah.
Like it doesn't suck so bad that we just want to abandon it entirely.
I have never, and I never would go for Trapped in Carbonite. Let's throw that out there right now.
Yep. Toss it aside.
Yes.
Oh,
uh,
someone's
oh,
asking if fives lead is a meta thing in 3v3.
it could be.
It can be good,
Fives
certainly.
Fives lead. The problem with Fives lead, and Vertigo isn't here to tell us the infinite wisdom of the Fives lead. Um, People don't know how to approach it. Fives lead does offer a different way to play clones that people just don't know how to approach. But I probably won't be using it. End of the day,
Yeah.
I'm probably not using it.
Fives lead is fine.
Yeah.
It's not. Yeah, I've gotten holds from it before, and it's always just like people get overconfident. They're like, "Oh, look at this! This guy made a mistake. Like he
Yeah.
didn't use Rex lead. I'm gonna throw something extremely weak against it."
Right.
And then I'm like, "Well, there's still good clones, and Rex still has Rexecute, and he's not slow. Like he's not as fast without his lead. He's not as fast, but." And they're more survivable, like way more survivable
Oh yeah.
under fives lead. So like you can't just beat it. But like it's not a if someone's doing it, don't assume it's a mistake. Like assume that team will still rip your face off if you're not careful.
That's that is fact, and the exact way to put it. They are going to rip your face off if you underestimate it.
Yeah, like that's just how it is.
Yeah,
So
right.
I mean, the thing that cracks me up, like we have these guys like Vertigo, like you're saying, like they underdevelop one of their 501st, like Arc. They make Arc like gear 6. So
Yeah,
it's like if you do one AoE against that team, suddenly the rest of the team is super clones.
right. Yeah, except for he actually had to gear up his arc and was suffering last night, all because of the cam mission.
Yeah, that brings me joy.
Yes.
After the shenanigans they pull on our Discord server, any chance at joy at their expense, that makes me happy.
They're getting smarter with those shenanigans as well. It's,
It's horrible.
the derp is learning. Um,
Anyways,
all right, so this coming up 3v3, it was announced what the feats were going to be this week. Um, they're actually going back and they're going to repeat the feats from season 3 of GAC, which is Resistance. And I heard a couple people grumbling about that, but I gotta be honest with you, I'm glad that they're doing this because if you are a newer player and let's say you love Resistance and you're just a newer player, you can't have any of the portraits that were given out. So I kind of like the idea that, what was it, 13 or 14 months later, they will finally repeat a feat. I hope that they don't repeat the feats I hope we don't just now have a cycle of the same feats just recycled, every so and so many months. But every once in a while, if they go back and say, hey, here's a chance to get these feats now, I'm okay with that. I kind of like it because it lets everybody be included, essentially, if they want to be.
yeah, you're right. It's going to be a struggle. Like, so they're defeating enemy units in Grand Arena with veteran smuggler Han and Chewie. My Division 2 account,
Your poor alt.
yeah, like it's tough. It's going to be a tough one to get top, spot, top whatever, top 10 with that. But I don't know. I usually find a way around it.
Yeah, yeah.
I'm looking at it right now. It says win a grand arena battle using a squad containing every character that uses the EL-16 resistance blaster rifle, which is Finn, Poe, and Resistance Trooper.
Yeah.
And I'm like, that's that's so absurdly tough for what my account has. Honestly,
Yeah.
I that version of that team, I can't, even if I run into like Old Republic on defense, I can't use that squad. Like I would get destroyed by by Old Republic with that because
Right.
I haven't developed them. They're like gear 8. So
Yeah. Um, yeah. And so for those that don't know, these feats came out last December. So all these feats were even developed before they announced the requirements for Ray. Um, so back then, actually, people had decent Poe, Finn, and Resistance Trooper from the Finley days, but they did not. You know, these feats were not as easy as they sound right now for everybody that has Ray because there was no Ray. That's you know, I do enjoy how one of the feats says win a Grand Arena battle using both Rays, and it's just JTR and Scav because there was no Galactic Legend back then. So hopefully they reword that feat for this time.
yeah, yeah, it's So I actually now I have a memory of this. So you remember Whipsby? Gosh, I
Yes.
can't say his name, but
Yeah.
he used to win every time, every single division, and he's since retired. But I remember him not having Jedi Training Ray available for one of the feats, and he was stressed out big time
Yeah.
that he wouldn't be able to actually like win because he just couldn't do the feat. That he wasn't anywhere approaching being able to unlock her, and uh and then it turned out no one else in the whole division had her either, hardly. So he still won. But I just remember his like stress on that.
Oh
and
yeah.
and I at the time I was like, you know, I wanted to win with my alt, but not. I didn't really care. Like I wasn't in the middle of my crazy win streak or anything. I was just playing. I was probably in the middle of a crazy win streak. That account is stupid, but yeah, like
Well,
it was
how long is your win streak now?
107, I think.
Didn't we figure? When did it? I forget. We figured out when it started.
Someone told me it was 8 months ago. I haven't actually done the math of
Oh
it.
yeah, 107 comes to just under 9 GA seasons.
Oh, so that's probably like 10 months now. Maybe someone told me that 2 months ago. I don't know.
That's yeah. Well, so nine. What are we on? Are we on 14 now?
We're starting
We're
15.
starting 15. So that would have been 6. Okay, so that was 3 GAs after this resistance one.
Okay.
that's
Yeah. So
that's yeah.
like I was trying to win, but I was just like, there's just no, I didn't consider doing any of the feats. And
Right.
now I'm on a streak. I've made top 10 3 times in a row on that account. And 2 of those times were top 2. So now I'm like, I got a streak to uphold, especially because this is my last time in Division 2. So
Right. The Fresh Saint gifted you a sub. Thank you, bud. Thank you.
oh, that's super funny.
uh, um, yeah.
Gig saying my win streak started COVID.
I mean, it kind of did.
Yeah.
Good job, Zareth. This is why we can't have
Yeah.
nice
My
things.
my bad, guys. You know what though? I'd do it again.
uh,
Uh, I wouldn't if I knew it was COVID. Just for those of you who are literalists, I
just
would
so
not
it's
start
clear.
COVID. I would totally sacrifice at least 1 or 2 of my wins to cure COVID. I would do that for you, for the community.
And as best, thank you for the follow while you're out there. All right, so there's really no other news this week. CG is keeping it easy for us. For the record, guys, CG, we talked about this last week. They were on vacation for 2 weeks, so they are back. They actually sent out sent out a note saying, I think this week we're supposed to be getting something, if I remember his message correctly. I may not be, but he basically
Yeah.
said that something's coming. pull it up real quick. He also got into fights with people, which was really funny because some guy was trying to be arrogant because it's the forums, and he was like, "Oh, it's good to know that you're not dead," or something along those lines. And Dogevet comes back, "Oh, you mean after I made the post saying it's going to be quiet for 2 months because we're taking vacations?" Like, you could see the middle finger coming from him.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, he gave it back a little bit, which
He
I
did.
think is warranted. Like if people want to give it, they better be, you know, willing to just take it a little bit. I
Right.
thought it was funny.
Okay, here's the post. He didn't say this week. I just assumed this week. And it basically just said, "Hey, we're back, playing catch up from the break and focusing on some upcoming game related stuff as well as community related things." I assume this week. I hope this week because so their post about Mando back in December said the January state of the galaxy. Um, we are in January, so we're hoping and hoping that we get information from that state of the galaxy soon because we're all patiently waiting for the dear old armorer to come into the game.
Yeah, I'm excited. And actually, so I have proof too that they are back. So, the guy who took second in Division Two, I mean, I'm considering myself as having taken second
Of
because the guy
course.
who took second cheated.
It's a
Like
dirty, rotten
it's
scoundrel.
yeah, it's very obvious. People always ask me how, and you can see in their GAC history. It's very obvious. We don't need to spend time on it right now, but um, anyways, the guy. So we reported him. I haven't heard anything back. Finally, today on the forums, I got a message
Oh, okay.
saying, "Hey, we're going to look into his account today."
Oh,
So
good. Okay.
what I really hope, though, I really hope that the guy who took 11th, and I'm so mad at myself, I was kicking myself today. The old leaderboard is gone. I wish I
Oh,
had recorded who the 11th place guy was because I want to see if that guy gets retroactively awarded.
actually, I think it's either in your video, your last video. We talked about it, and I think we did it on the air. So I think it's on one of our videos.
That could
It
be.
it might be our Friday. No, it's not Friday night. I don't remember now, but I remember us talking about it, and I remember looking at the leaderboard, and I thought it was on your screen. I
Oh,
could be completely wrong there, though. So
well, because I checked the guy's name, I checked the guy, and he did not have Kyber Contender as a
yeah,
title.
yeah,
In fact, he had like the Erodium one, so it's not like a guy who has always made Kyber, and so like I want that guy to get Kyber Contender too. Like that's a
yeah. He earned
huge
it.
part of the issue. Like I don't really care if some cheater gets an award. Like it sucks, but as long as it's like an infinite number of awards and it's not like going to materially help the guy, I
Right.
don't really care. What I care about is the guy who worked hard and almost should have gotten top 10 if it wasn't for a cheater.
Yeah.
And I would like to see them get that award.
Honestly, same thing for the guy that finished 51st, because I know 51st to 50 is not the same as 11 to 10. Um, but if I finished 51st and it was only because there was a cheater in the top 50, I would want to be able to say I finished top 50. You know, because
Right.
that is a well earned accomplishment.
Absolutely. Yeah, getting top 50 is a big deal too. Like it's a slightly less big deal in my mind than like top 10 because top 10 you get a new title.
Of
Like the
course, of
title,
course.
the account bling is, and that way you can't have that taken away from you. Hopefully you can. Hopefully this cheater can have it taken away.
Well,
But
hopefully he can just have his account taken away. But it's
it'll be gone for a couple weeks at least.
yeah. Uh,
Anyways, we don't need to talk about that.
we don't need to talk about that dirty, dirty cheater. Let's talk about how you and I might get matched up this GA season.
Oh, geez.
Oh, so for those of you that don't know, and actually I should run Klesso too. Before every GA season, Zareth, Klesso, and I basically sit there, and at one point, one of us will say, "Guys, we could get matched up really soon, right? Because we constantly fight each other's opponents. So I ran a compare on Zareth and and it is what in our top 65 GP. I have to do the math. Like 1,000. We have a difference of 1,000 GP. That is how close we are to getting matched up. Which is
1,000 is it?
1,000. That's it. Half of Zeta.
The- Oh man, I'm like, you've already registered. I might actually just go and like throw a Zeta on someone to boost myself a little past you.
Yeah, I have accidentally registered. Classic move there. Classic move.
Sick.
So let's now see where Klesso is. That way, when he wakes up and listens to the podcast, he can start panicking as well. That's let's see. All right. So I pulled up Klesso. He's actually behind us. Get with the game, Klesso.
What? He
Yeah.
spends all this money and he's behind us. What the hell?
His so my top 65 GP is 1.93 million. Yours is 1.931 million. His is 1.913 million. He
Wow.
is
Wow,
oh
he's slumming it. Yeah, you and me, like we're, and of course, so, well, it's top six. So the bot runs it at top 65,
yeah.
and I need to talk to someone who runs the bot. I should just contact Hot Sauce. He might talk to me since I'm a content creator. But like the algorithm that they use is not top 65. Like top 65 was a good approximation back in the day, and I like even count by fives kind of thing. But
Yeah.
like top 65 has never been a thing. What they do, for those of you who don't know, it's they count how many squads you might need if you or how many characters you might use if you put all characters down that you could on defense and used 3 characters per squad for your attacks. So in this case, you have 11 teams on defense, so that's 33. You have 11 teams on offense, so that's 33, and they take your top 66 in 3v3. They take your top 66 characters, add their GP up, and that's your matchup GP for squads. They also do that for ships as well, but none of these calculations actually take ships into account. And so in this case, like top 65 is pretty close to 66, obviously, but it's especially like egregious, or I don't know, egregious is like this really negative word, but like in 5v5, it should be top 70, in fact.
Yeah.
So when you're looking at top, like the bots that you look at, they provide a good like kind of approximation, but just keep in mind that they are wrong. Like they're
Yes.
fantastic tools. I love them, and I'm really not trying to like slander the people who are running these bots, but like they aren't accurate.
Yeah. And so Ando said how much is weighted ships for Scrown. That is interesting to know, and that is where Klesso wins in the matchup, by the way. Like by a lot. So he might still be in our matchup bracket because he's so much higher on ships.
And surprise, surprise, folks, Solo is significantly behind me and Klesso.
I am, which is strange because I have everything 7. Like I have everything in ships 7-star and
But your lack of love is shining through, Solo.
I don't even have a red circle there. I've applied every ability that I can apply in fleet.
It's gear on pilots, I'm sure. Like
Yeah,
I bet that the difference is actually Biston and Scarif Rebel
it's
Pathfinder for
Biston
you.
SRP and then Gar Saxon. Prime's out there and ISC and Jedi Counselor. Those are the only ones that don't. Oh, and Phoenix. It's
There you go.
it. Oh no, Phoenix is. Oh no, Zeb. Zeb is not maxed out, and neither is Kanan. That's why.
Yeah, I mean, my And actually, I got K2 and Cassian from Gear 12. They're like Gear 12 plus one,
Yeah.
and now actually K2 was Gear 11 plus four, in fact. And they're both now Relic 5.
Yeah.
So I'm sure that has something to do with my ship
Probably.
size.
Though
But
my Cassian is what is he? He's R4. My my K2 is 11 plus 3 though. He is actually on the favorites list to go soon, but he not in enough time here.
so guys, real story. Me and Solo might get matched up in GAC. That might it legit might happen. I feel like if it's gonna happen, it like if there's a season that it's been more most likely it's gonna be this one, because yeah, that's gonna suck.
Now what we really need is
Or epic.
the solo versus end all alt versus main classic. How miserable would that be? The first week I get matched up against you or Queso, and then my alt gets end all.
Dude, I would be so happy.
I wouldn't be.
I would be over the top happy. Actually, I wish that it would be in the same evening. Like, I wish it would be in the same match. So then you just wouldn't have time to plan. And, you know.
Prime, don't you wish that evil on me? I've already done that twice. Actually, yeah, Froda. We could get matched up against Froda, too.
Yeah, Froda's in the mix as well.
Poor Froda, who got matched up against Klesso and Bladebaka in the same pod.
In the same, I know. And they got paired the first day. So,
right.
So Frodo's like, so if I win, then I might have to face one of them. And if I lose, I have an equal chance of having to face one of them. Grim prospects.
Womp womp. Oh god,
Anyways.
the matchup with Endall is even closer now. He leveled some people up. He's at 1.77 million. I'm at 1.78 million.
I think if you want my totally biased opinion, I think
He'd win.
Endel might just kick your ass. If
I'm
you guys
fully
matched
confident
up.
in that.
I mean, if only because this is his only account and he's put a lot of love into it. And as an alt, it's just by definition going to be like you're just going to pay less attention to it. Like modding is going to be less tight. It's going to be, you know, if you like didn't do some of the events here and there, like, and who could blame you?
Right.
You know, like Endel's probably doing all of them. So
I would hope so.
right.
Yeah. Though, last season, I honestly put more time into scouting my alt than I did my main account. My main account was like, I'll just leave this defense up. My alt was like, okay, he has this Galactic Legend and this Galactic Legend. I need to plot against this. Because when you don't have all 4 Galactic Legends, you actually have to put a lot more thought into it.
That's true. I know. If I had to face Endall with my alt, I would probably just wing it and let it auto place again.
Yeah, right. Hey, Endall, get ready for this auto place. Good luck.
Good luck. He'll never expect it. Yeah, and then in his preamble thing, he'll be like, I was pretty sure he was just going to
right.
auto place, so I planned accordingly.
I listened to the podcast. I knew.
Yep. I expected that. Yeah. Anyways, we
all right. We should move on because we did actually get a bunch of podcast questions. Even though we answered many on Friday, we have a bunch to answer today too. So we should probably move to that section because we don't have GA results to talk about this week.
I almost feel guilty for answering questions on Friday. Like, I'm sure the first ones we did a good job on, and maybe we answered them well as well. I'll have to go back and listen, but
I made sure the first hour was structured with questions. That way it could devolve after we answered many.
and devolve it did.
Yes, it did. And last it did. The best part about it is beforehand we're like, this isn't going to last 4 hours again. That was a one-time thing. 4 hours later, it's, hey guys, I'm not tired, but we should probably end this, huh?
Dude, it's just the most fun time. Like this, the most fun stream of this of like the month, honestly.
Yeah.
And everyone else is hanging out with us too. Like we had like over 80 people hanging out with us on stream. I mean, it's a good time. And even though we're drinking a lot, like and maybe it's just the alcohol that affected me, but it seemed like we were still people were giving good answers anyways.
Yes. Hopefully. In theory. In theory. Though, from now on, for our roundtables, don't ask any questions in the last hour. We can't promise anything.
Yeah, like no guarantees that it's going to be super stimulating and intelligent.
But you will
You
get to
know,
laugh at us. And Ando is probably slurring. Actually, no. Endall is probably slurring.
Endo still might be drunk, guys.
Oh, all
He's
right.
still alive though,
He
which
is.
is
That's
we did it. We did it. He's alive.
half a
So
bottle of Jack later.
yes.
All right. So let's get into some of these questions because some of them we can spend some time on. Not this first one. This first one needs to be burned like witches. So I may be courting insanity, but given how entrenched 3v3 is now in Grand Arena, wouldn't a 3v3 squad arena also be sensible? It would provide more opportunities for practice. Zareth, go.
Oh man. This is the one time I feel super tempted to use like a swear word here to describe how my feelings are. I don't know if there's I feel like using the Mordor tongue. You know what I'm saying? Like
Yeah.
like that I can't describe how vile I think that would be. So sensible on some level it would make sense. Like you think that if they did actually balance the game for 3v3 that we would also like it would be balanced for arena in 3v3, but as we've said before, it's not balanced for throwdown 3v3. 3v3 is just a throw in and one that we don't mind certain aspects of at least, but like the thing is we wouldn't be practiced like it offers the opportunity to practice a very small range of squads and certain accounts that can actually climb to the top using off meta counters right now would have no recourse. Like people hit a wall of Ray squads and they don't have a team, they don't have their own galactic legend, and they would just be stuck. There would be zero recourse other than asking them to take mods off or to remove their team. So to me that it would be an extremely emphatic no, but maybe I'm just overreacting. What are your thoughts, Solo?
Well, I already said burn them like witches, so that's how I feel about that. Here's my problem with it. On top of what you already said, because I agree with everything you just said. I don't have time for another arena, and I wouldn't take away if you take away the 5v5 arena and still give me the crystals. I'm fine with it, by the way. But I don't have time to add another arena into the mix. I already have 5v5. I already have Fleet. The way CG did it, they're back to back, so that's 2 hours there of climbing. I don't need a third one to practice 3v3 teams. And here's the thing. You really wouldn't get to practice that much because, at least in my arena, it's the same 2 or 3 teams that you climb through. So you'd only practice against 2 or 3 teams. It's not... There's 11 teams on the 3v3 board. It's not like you could practice any more against the 11 teams essentially. So you just have to do the same thing you have to do in Squad Arena now and convince somebody to put in a different team and spend crystals to do extra fights, which you can already do in 5v5 Arena.
Yeah, I want to kill this idea with fire. I don't bear the person ill will. Like it does actually. I'll acknowledge that there is a certain level of sense making to it. I just abhor the idea,
Right, right, exactly. Okay, next question. If you had one side project to do that you think would give the best return on investment, which team would you want? And he gave examples of Night Sisters, Bounty Hunters, Rebel Fighters, Geos, Imperial Troopers. What do you think is the best B team for a side project?
Well, I mean, we've talked.
The
I,
answer is
I'm
yes.
I'm guessing you would know the answer, my answer to this, but like bounty hunters is my answer, 100%. Like they're
Yeah.
they're just really versatile. Like they'll let you beat a bunch of different modes, like the assault battles and stuff. They're really nice. And they're so flexible. Once you get a few of them geared up, especially once like Mando and Grief combined with so many different teams, like it's a very very fun dynamic. Once you get some bounty hunters geared up, they're a blast. So to me, that would be the one I would choose. As you said, though, solo, like yes, like they're all very good. Like
Yeah.
I
I
could see you doing all of them. What about you, solo?
Well, I have done. So I have done Geos, I have done Imperial Troopers, I have done Rebel Fighters. So, uh, and my bounty hunters aren't bad either. I think I have five. I have 5 or 6 of them at Gear 13 as well. Um, Night Sisters, I would take off that list just because I'm not using them as much as I used to.
Yeah, that's fair.
I,
Like,
like compared to the other ones on the list,
uh
I still like having Night Sisters. I still use them. I like them in my back pocket. Just I don't use them as much anymore.
yeah,
I would say so. Of all these, I would say Geos or Rebel Fighters because both of them can do very well for you in territory battle. In fact, in our private chat earlier today, I shared a picture of my Mon Mothma. I mean, after you get through the first wave, the other team does not get like the opponents do not get a turn in waves 2, 3, or 4. It's just because you have the Pow Zeta and then you have Cara Dune, and I mean, it took 20 minutes because they do no damage, but it was the easiest 4 for 4 I had all day. So I would probably say Rebel Fighters or Geos because territory battles is still important, and having them, both of those teams, really opens up your options in territory battles. Like I know on my main account, I donate Darth Revan and or Bastila and Malik every time now because I just don't need them. And one of the reasons is because Geos, no matter the phase, can go 4 for 4.
yeah, and that's absolutely true. There's yeah, it's good. They're all good. I
Yeah,
think like Nice Sisters too, though. Like they all add a lot of utility. Like
yeah.
Geos with relics, though. Yeah, I didn't actually notice that on the list. I know you read it and everything, so it's my own bad. But like, I do think like, despite what my like, I don't love Geos quite as much as Solo does, but yeah, I can't deny how valuable they are. They are like rock solid, especially with relics.
Oh yeah. And that's the thing. You have to commit relics, and here's the thing: you can't. Like I use geos to counter bounty hunters all the time, and even if the bounty hunters go first, it just doesn't matter. But you can't do that with a gear 12 plus 2 Poggle because the opposing Django goes first and Poggle just disappears if he gets hit. But at Relic 5, that doesn't happen to me anymore. Unless it's an R7 Django or something absurd, like I don't have that threat anymore. So if you commit, you have to actually commit to it, which is not always an easy thing to say.
Right. Well, yeah, exactly. Um, and honestly, one of my bigger regrets right now, I guess I'm like in the spot I could actually start doing. I need to get Poggle some work because
Yeah,
he is such a weak link. Like the only thing I have working for him is that he just has a bunch of natural evade. But
right, right. And when you have to rely on evade, you know it's a problem. Though,
right, yeah, you're one R2D2 away from being
yes,
totally screwed,
exactly.
from being toast.
Oh, all right. So next one. Hypothetically, if you have no G12 bounty hunters, it's a bounty hunter focus this time. And
I
wanted
just got sad.
yeah, right. And wanted to make your next pet project getting a relic bounty hunter squad. Which 5 would you choose? And what Zetas do you think you need to make them work the way they should? So I will send this to you because you are the bounty hunter expert on this podcast.
Oh man, thanks. Well, so if you're just going for 5, I mean, Bosk, Boba, and Django seem to me like they should, like, you probably already have them farmed. Like they're, because if you, yeah, you need Houndstooth anyways. Like Bosk, out of all the bounty hunters, Bosk is the most obvious to me. And then Django is the next most obvious because he's so useful everywhere else. The team I would make would, I mean, and it's not going to be a secret for people who watch my fights, but I would choose so Bosk, Boba, Django, and then Grief and Mando for right now.
Yeah.
Like, yes, there are other good ones. I'm so sad. Like Embo just keeps falling down the ladder, and I still love Embo, but now I would actually choose like a lot of other characters before Embo. But those are the 5, and then like get Aura Singh up to like gear 10 or something, because she's very useful with that squad as well. Yes.
She's very useful as a lead, and that's it. Actually, I've seen the like R4, R5 auras, and they do some damage. I don't think she is
Right.
in the top 5, but when she gets used right, she can do some nasty things.
Oh, you're absolutely right. Her damage isn't enough to justify that kind of that level of investment, but and like you said, she's not top 5, but she is top 5 when you need her leadership, which her leadership combined with Grief and Bosk and Mando is just super nice. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And real quick, thank you for the raid. Good to see everybody from the Operation Metaverse stream.
Oh yeah, nice to
Uh,
see you guys.
hello, and welcome. Yeah, so my top 5 bounty hunters right now are basically the same as yours. I have relics on Bosk, Mando, Django, Grief, and Boba does not have the relics yet, but I'm literally gearing him right now. So I picked the same 5. I have the Gear 11 Aura. Like you, I have a Zeta to Embo that's actually 12 plus 5.
I think mine's 12 plus 4.
Yeah. Just, he's a very situational guy, because sometimes I do want a bounty hunter with what he brings. Because he does have the protection recovery, and he can't be critically hit when you have the Zeta, and he has the dispel on basic, plus the ability to take a second turn. Like, I love his kit, just not as much as like Grief, which is a shame. Now, the second half of that question is which Zetas are mandatory for that team, and I mean, obviously, both of Bosks should be applied on that team.
Yes, those are no brainers.
Yeah, Django. Would you
Unique.
call his unique mandatory?
Yeah. Oh man. Yes. Especially so.
I assigned it before Bosk's second Zeta, but
Yeah. It'll be one of my first 10 Zetas on my Prevail Man account, on my new account. Like 100%. That his Zeta opens so many more counters to that team. And then if you want to, I mean, I never do this, and it's probably just my own failing, but like if you use Django with Separatists, like he starts with a huge amount of damage because he has his contract already. He's guaranteed 2 shots or to time you out. Either of which result is awesome.
Mm-hmm.
And then he just counters so many more things. It's like you can't take Night Sisters against anything that has that Django in it after that. So
there was a long time I was running Django with that Zeta in my General Grievous team. This was back, months ago. but more than a couple people failed with their Night Sisters against that team. Um, because, he starts in damage immunity thanks to the Grievous lead and then just erases somebody with his shrapnel blast.
Yeah. Oh man. So yes, I would say that lead, or not lead, sorry. Definitely his lead is not mandatory. Um, I would say though you do want the Mandalorian because it is special. Yeah, not you don't want Mando's lead. Zeta, that thing sucks.
It's his unique. That's the
Yep.
Zeta. Yeah.
Oh, unique. Okay, the
Yeah.
non-lead one, the one that gives him turn meter, I
Yeah.
think. And
It's
then
yeah. It's each time he scores a critical hit, other bounty hunters gain half the 15% turn meter.
yeah, which is great. More turn meter. Like bounty hunters haven't traditionally been much of a turn meter team, anyways, which is one of their strengths, honestly, not relying on turn meter but still being solid. Except for Bosk, of course, who's got the frenzy and all that. But um, so the biggest question. So I think that those are the four like mandatory, basically, like the boss, the two on Bosk, one on Django, one on Mando, and then the big question, and we talked about this some in toward the end of um, our round table, and
So let's ask Ando in chat if he remembers, huh?
yeah. Yeah, well, because someone in chat, I think it was Yeti, was like bad mouthing the grief Zetas, and I have both of them, and I think that both look pretty lame, especially the one that gives you plus 20% on
Yeah.
just like one specific thing. But man, it's one of those things where like once you're taking that, if you're taking them against a really easy squad, then yeah, it doesn't matter. But if you're taking them, if you really want to max them out, like that extra 20% adds up to be so much extra damage. It's really hard to ignore, especially when you couple in the fact that like you're restarting or you're resetting your cooldowns and stuff with grief, because you got your contract and all of this stuff. Like
Right.
that thing can be the difference. It can be the thing that mows one character down completely or leaves them alive barely and have the rest of your team erased because you didn't kill the key character at that point. So
Yeah. I do think Sweeten the Deal is probably the first one on Grief, though. That's the one that
yes.
dispels all debuffs and well, I think that's the most important part is dispel all debuffs. But they also get tenacity up for 2 turns as well, which does not hurt at all.
Yeah, and agreed. Like that one's better. I do like the other one as well. I would say I would call that one non-mandatory, but
Yeah.
also like if you're going to be using that team a lot, then very important, more important than it looks like.
Right. All right. So that's the bounty hunter team. Let's move on to the next one. Is any hope for Imperial troopers in 3v3? As it was this person's most consistent team last season. He doesn't want to bench them. So how do you plan on breaking up your troopers? I know we talked about this a little bit on the round table, but I figure we can isolate it here if people didn't have time to listen to all 4 hours of the round table as well.
Sure. Do you want to take a crack at it first?
Um,
I mean, I
yeah,
can too. I think
I
I was answered it too. But
I'm probably going to play it differently than you, to be honest.
cool. Let's hear it.
Because I really like Piet with Vader. So I know you talked about on the roundtable Veer Stark Piet, and it makes complete sense. Like I don't think that's wrong at all. But I really like having Piet with Vader. So I have found that uh, Veer Stark and Snow work against all those stupid Asajj cheese teams.
Sure.
So that's one way to do it. This person says he has a Gear 11 Gideon. My Gear 11 Gideon, I think, is at 298 speed, which is going to be faster than a lot of teams. So I might do a Veer Stark Gideon and just rely on hopefully picking off somebody weak on the team. I don't know. I might use Gideon with Vader too, though, because Vader, Piet, Gideon sounds fantastic. So I don't know. Those are just sort of some of my thoughts. I kind of feel like with troopers in 3v3, even in 5v5, I'll look at the board first and see if there's a team I can trooper. And then if I can, I'll kind of work my other teams around that. Like, let's say in 5v5 I was going against the Mon Mothma. I would look to see if troopers can beat it, and if they could, I would take Piet with my troopers to beat the Mon Mothma team, and then just make do with my Vader against something else. But going into the round, I plan on Piet with Vader.
Oh, well, yeah, and there's a level of like you have to be flexible too.
Yeah.
So, I mean that's good. I think that people have been in the habit so long of just ignoring troopers in 5v5 or in 3v3 that I think that they're going to be surprised. Just uh, the mechanics that are involved are I don't know, like uh, the Piet team is such a trap team. Like you got to be careful for it, guys. If you're going to be facing troopers and you just assume you're going to destroy them, like maybe you will. Maybe there's something about it that you'll just demolish. But you got to be careful because if you're not, then you're just going to get smoked because like Piet once Piet gets the bit in his teeth, like or in his mouth, whatever, like it's still turn meter city. Like they're gonna get a ton of turns, and if they have relics, like it is just really tough to kill that team if they have relics and like if they're modded well. And I mean, yes, there are probably a lot of teams that can kill them, but I'll just say this: I've seen a couple screenshots of troopers in the back zone with like 7 or 8 holds, and they have full health, and they held the line.
Yeah.
Like they're similar to Geos in that respect. Like if you don't have the right team to beat them, then you could be screwed. And every time an Empire team takes damage, or an Empire character takes damage, Piet gains 5% turn meter. And if he's already fast, because Veers has already given him plus 20 speed anyways, and if you keep him fast, like he's gonna get a turn pretty quick, and then he's going to mark someone that's gonna give everyone plus 20% turn meter. Stark isn't that far behind. He's gonna give more. Like it's just gonna be on pretty soon, like really fast. So like, not saying it's a world beater, not saying it's going to kill all the things, but it is going to be far more competitive than most people assume, just because Piet adds a wrinkle. But I agree, like before Piet came in, that like you take your mods off of Stark, or at least make him slower, because
Right.
he's not going to be nearly as relevant. Like you don't need super speed on him. But now, don't take your mods off of Piet, in my opinion.
Yeah. All right. Next question is: I still don't have any GLs, but I'm getting close enough that I occasionally get matched up against them. Now in 3v3, do you think it's better to place Jedi Knight Luke on defense or save him for offense? And if you place him on D, do you mod him super slow? Because currently he's modded fast for the Supreme Leader Kylo counter in 5v5. So your alt doesn't have Jedi Knight Luke yet, so I can't ask your alt specifically. But let's say you had Jedi Knight Luke on your alt, and you don't have GLs yet, but you could face one or two. How would you approach this?
So, I mean, in general, my advice, and that this, you and I have talked about this before, anyways.
Yeah.
Like, once there's like this certain threshold. I don't know what GP level it is. Somewhere in like the 6-ish million GP range. Maybe in the up top, like the upper fives. I don't know, but you reach this point of critical mass where you have way more teams than you absolutely need, and so you can start placing like a really heinous defense and still have a really potent offense. If you don't have Galactic Legends yet, though, you haven't reached that point. And so, in general, I think that efficiency play is going to be better at that level. In which
Yeah.
case, like I'm also like it goes against my nature to plan a fight where I'm not going to try to full clear. Now, if I'm facing a Galactic Legend and I think they're going to place theirs and I can place mine across the board from them basically and like play more efficiently on half the board and guarantee the win because I don't know if I can clear their Galactic Legend, then I'll do that. I might do that anyways. Like sometimes your hands are tied. Go for the win first, even if you can't full clear. Go for the win first. But if you think so, I guess that this is where the determination comes down to it. Your own discretion. If you think that Jedi Luke can materially help you to clear a Galactic Legend, and I'll tell you right now, he doesn't necessarily help against certain Galactic Legends. Like against Rey, Jedi Knight Luke is okay. Not he's not gonna win it for you on his own. Um, if you can't beat a Galactic Legend, though, then like I would probably say like defense for him. I don't know, like and to answer the question of if he should be fast or slow, I still like him fast because
Yeah.
he's more versatile when he's fast. Uh, I'll be running a really fast Chalk T with my main and keep my fast Jedi Knight Luke as well, just so I have that versatility.
Agreed. I I will be doing the same. Um, and yeah, I think here's the problem. I know Jedi Knight Luke is excellent in 3v3 on defense. Like there's no doubt. I can't criticize anyone that puts him on defense. I like him on offense so much and in general, but in 3v3 as well that I don't know if I would put him on defense. That's not to say I wouldn't put a strong defense or somebody strong on defense, but man, he just he takes a turn. You get Heroes Arise. He takes a turn and stuns the entire team. It's like the ultimate control team. I mean, Jedi Knight Luke in 3v3 is your team's not getting a turn. And sometimes that's just nice to have on offense.
Oh well, yeah, like he'll. I don't really like him as a solo character. Like he
No.
can
No.
absolutely solo a team, uh, but like man, it just feels like God mode, really. Like when you do that, you hit that button
Yeah.
and stun the whole team, and they all have tenacity up and everything, and you're just like, and now I will kill you. Like it just feels so fun. I don't know. Like that's one of my
Right.
very favorite feelings in the game. So
I might not solo with him, but I will absolutely Jedi Knight Luke plus Hoda him. That's
yeah. Oh man, it's super fun.
yeah. All right. So frequently we talk about how you don't have to mod an entire team super fast. Usually, every team has one character on the team that kind of gets the engine running. So this person asks, can you identify some of the key tunes and squads that make the teams go, and how to mod them? For instance, which tune do you want the fastest? We'll keep it with that because when we start talking about turn order, we could talk for 8 days about every single team.
Right.
But so of the common teams, why don't we identify some of the key characters that make the team go? Usually, usually it's going to be the fastest character that's getting that turn meter going. So why don't we just bounce back and forth because there's a couple characters
Sure.
for different teams that we can talk about.
Yeah, you pick first.
All right. Well, so I'll go. I'll actually go with first order first. Hux chain, and I'm answering this with 5v5 in mind, but Hux kind of changed things. But people that have relic Huxes now usually give them to Supreme Leader Kylo. So I find the biggest mistake people make when they fight a KRU team without Hux is they ignore First Order Officer. They're like, oh, Fox is going to be the damage dealer. I need to take him out. And then regular Kylo gives turn meter with his AoE. I need to take him out. Man, first order officer on that team makes that team go. If you just have him fast, he does so much for that team because a lot of people forget. Not only is he feeding turn meter at the start, he's reducing their cooldowns as well, which is making the team go even faster and use their specials and hit even harder. So my first one would be first order officer. Uh, Ideally, I guess you could mod him for survivability as well, but you just make a fast foo and that team, runs.
Yeah, I've always liked a fast first order officer. He's been kind of a casualty of my mods lately, but you're right.
Fair.
He is very solid. For me, so I mean, to carry on with the bounty hunter theme, uh, you typically almost every case you want a fast Bosk. Um, and you want him to be at least one speed faster than everyone else on the team, and the reason why is you taunt with him. So I see people make this mistake a lot, and I want to scream at the monitor. Sometimes I do. No, I don't ever scream actually, but so I don't actually want to. That was a total fabrication. But like the truth of it is for Bosk, you don't want to do your burst attack first unless you know for sure someone else is going to go immediately after him. If you can time it so that you have another bounty hunter just like one speed slower than him. So I do this with Grief. What you do, you taunt with Bosk, and that gives him Frenzy. And Frenzy means whenever someone else on your team does a special, then he immediately gains I forget if it's a bonus turn or 100% turn meter. One way or another, he goes next. So what happens is Bosk taunts, then in this example, Grief goes, he does his burst attack, everyone attacks, then Bosk takes another turn immediately after that because of Frenzy. Then he does his burst attack, and suddenly everyone has their contract. A lot of times, if you've kind of predicted what mechanics are in play and what taunts are there, etc. But you want a fast Bosk, and then someone else does a special, and then Bosk goes again. Like he takes a million turns. It's a
Yeah.
properly fast Bosk is pure joy to play, at least on offense.
Yeah, for sure. And I kind of figured you would take bounty hunters there. Um,
Thanks for
so
letting me keep them.
yes. So I'll go with the Jedi Knight Luke team, especially in this 3v3, but it also applies in 5v5. If you have a fast Hoda or a fast Shaak Ti, um, like we just said in the last question, they make it so the other team never gets an attack because you open up with Heroes Arise. Jedi Knight Luke gets a bonus turn. He stuns the other team. They're super slow, and your team just destroys them. So my example here, or second example, I guess I should say, is get your Shaak Ti or Hoda as fast as you can. Shaak Ti is naturally faster than Hoda, but I think by a couple, whether I think it's 6 on her base speed, and uh, she just takes a turn and they're dead. I actually, I'm going to run into the situation now where I'm going to get Heroes Arise off before most Darth Revens I face because, like I said earlier, I have Shaak Ti and Hoda over 330 at this point. And so I'm going to get Heroes Arise off and a mass assist on Bastila before their Darth Revan even takes a turn, which is, that makes that team that much stronger. So Hoda or Shaak Ti with Jedi Knight Luke, just give them speed. Like, focus on that. Make them as fast as you can. I think my Hoda, so when I ran that comparison to you and Klesso, my Hoda has a ton more offense than both of you two, just because that was the fastest mod I could get on him. So I gave him an offense, I think cross or triangle or something, just to give him speed, and there we go.
Right. Well, there are certain characters that are so survivable because of their mechanics, and all you really need from them is to have a faster turn.
Yep.
You want them to go faster. So you can ignore all stats but speed, basically. And Hoda's one of those. So,
Yeah.
no judgment on the offense unless you need that somewhere else, which I'm guessing you don't. So,
Right.
um, okay, I had one picked out. Let's see. So turn meter for Oh yeah, so this is like a newer player one, but it is important to keep notice, guys. So you need Rex to go fast on a clone team,
Yeah.
and I know that's going to be super obvious for the majority of people listening, but I mean, I do, one of the things Solo and I really do want to do is make sure that we provide some good tips for people who are a little bit lower in the GP range, and if you're so for it, whether or not you're running them with General Skywalker or Shock T, Rex needs to go first because he'll make the entire rest of the team first. Like it, yes, I know that's so basic on a lot of levels, but I swear, like my alt runs into these people who make a really fast like ARC trooper or something, and they neglect their Rex, and, and it's baffling. So it's not as completely ridiculously obvious as maybe it sounds like to like 90% of the people here. And I guess I'll just throw this in because this actually did happen to me recently. For I have no idea what reason, I had recently made my Rex pretty slow. Like, he should be somewhere in the 290 to 300 range. On average, like you can make him faster, and you would benefit from that in some cases. But mine was at 270, and that made me slower than after all the math and everything. That made me slower than my opponent's Darth Revan, and General Skywalker can counter Darth Revan fairly easily as long as you have similar relics and mods and everything. But you have the contingent thing. The important piece of that is Rex needs to be faster, and he wasn't. He wasn't faster, and I barely escaped with that. I think I got a 47 on that fight. Could have been a 55, 52 to 55. So, yeah. I do have one more after this. If you have one more, Solo.
I have one more.
Okay.
So mine is going to be probably a little different than most people have theirs modded. Since we're talking about Geos and we were talking about getting them relicked up,
Oh, I like this actually. Yeah.
I have my Poggle go first on that team. Two reasons. One, everybody looks at Brute Alpha speed, and nobody ever looks at Poggle. So they don't realize that the Geos are faster than them if they're on defense. But so there's a lot of turn meter gain and manipulation in a Geo team. And so everybody sees the Poggle special that gives offense up, and they read it and they see that you gain 4% turn meter for each debuff dispelled. And so the thinking is, I need to save this for after there's debuffs on my Geos. But what happens is you can actually, you have your Poggle use that ability. He grants offense up to spy. That makes everybody assist. That makes everybody gain turn meter. Your Brute Alpha then goes and does can attack and summon all enemies, and so it just gets that team going a lot faster. Is it necessary? No. Plenty of people use their Geos with Brute Alpha faster because their Poggle is G12. But does it make all of my fights much smoother with Geos? It 100% does, because every attack at the start, the Geos now have offense up on. And that's big when they're assisting. And, why would you save the offense up for your third or fourth attack? Give the offense up right at the start and just let your spy start going nuts throughout the fight. So I would say get your Poggle faster. As we were talking about earlier, most people don't have him relicked right now. So mod him, get him faster, but also have some survivability on him, because he is a very, very squishy character. And
Once you get relics on him, though, he can actually be fairly tanky.
yeah, I think, what do I have him at now? Um, I focused on speed with him, and I don't have any 6E mods. I also put potency on him, but he's still got 85k health and protection, which that's
Yeah.
not bad. It's on the low side for relics, but 85k still isn't bad.
Oh, the thing Gom was saying, he goes getting his up to like 70k base health.
Yeah,
And granted, he mods him differently than you.
he
Like he's
does.
not doing the speed thing, but
Yeah, I have a potency cross because I like the ability blocks, and I know that the team applies tenacity down with Geo Soldier, but that doesn't always apply. So, I like a little extra potency on Poggle as well. Um, and my triangle is honestly just for speed on Poggle, and it's a crit chance triangle just for the reason that I wanted speed on him, and I didn't have a good protection or health um, triangle that would grant that speed and also be potency. So he's not ideal. Mine's not ideal from that standpoint, but he's ideal for the turn meter that I want, or the turn order, I should say, for that squad.
I really like that. You're the reason I always check all of the Geo's speeds when I'm going in,
Yeah.
because especially a lot of the sketchy counters that I like to run against Geos, like I need to be significantly faster, and so like everyone I've seen besides you, I haven't met someone else who has a faster Poggle, but I still check because of you.
Well, I'm glad I make that add that step for you.
Yeah,
that's
thanks, Solo. I know.
that's
Like, how many seconds have I wasted because of you?
that's what I do. I waste your time.
Waste seconds.
Okay, so you said you had one more. Who was your last one?
Yeah, so this is also kind of mid game, but this is important, and a lot of veteran players miss it. The engine on a Jedi Revan team, at least like the basic one. Not, I know there's a ton of weird variations now with Galactic Legends and Galactic Legend counters and all of that, but like the basic Jedi Revan team is with Grandmaster Yoda. You do not need speed on Grandmaster Yoda if he's with Jedi Revan.
Yeah.
You want offense and offense and offense, and you can be extremely slow with him because he gains so much turn meter from everything. He takes a million turns. He's like perfectly. I mean, not that everything has to be lore driven, but like the scene in episode 2 where he's fighting Count Dooku, like that's what he is. Like that's
Right.
how they made him, like just jumping up and down, on off of everything and in and out, and he's crazy. And you can do that with like let me look. I have him pulled up here. My Grandmaster Yoda is plus 65 speed right now. And my alt's Grandmaster Yoda is like plus 40 something. Like no speed arrow or anything, just straight up offense. So he's kind of the linchpin on that team. Now, the caveat for this is if you're running him on a shot or on a Padme team, he can't gain bonus turn meter. And so he's still going to take a lot of turns on some level, but you're not going to gain all that extra bonus turn meter from his kit because she negates that. And so if you're running him with Padme, he does need to be super fast. Like that needs to be your first consideration is speed on him. But on a team where this also actually works really well, even almost better under Jedi Knight Luke, he gains a ton of turn meter. So like under any other Jedi, well, and under any Jedi, I guess, you want him fast. Or you want him offense
I would
heavy.
I would say the other exception to that is Jedi Master Luke, um, because you're spamming the lead ability, and so you're still gaining that turn meter, but a fast Grandmaster Yoda will throw off any of the Darth Vader counters to the team because he goes fast. He spreads the foresight, and because he's also getting 40 speed from the Jedi Master Luke lead. So I've seen 320 Jedi or Grandmaster Yoda on a Jedi Master Luke team. So he's really a 360 Grandmaster Yoda, and Vader's just can't keep up with it. and the tenacity gets spread, and the Vader counter says, well, what am I supposed to do now, guys? Um, so I would say that's one exception too. But on a Jedi Knight Revan team, I completely agree with you.
Right. And so, and he's also getting turn meter from Jedi Master Luke. You're right. He doesn't gain as much. So the other exception though too is if you're for some reason super fancy and have Ki-Adi-Mundi and you want to run a Galactic Republic Jedi team, which right now, I mean, Gom is in the chat and he says it's not that great of a team and he's given up on it really. But if you want to run that, running a super fast Grandmaster Yoda has almost no consequences because like you just want to stack him with, I think, health or something. And that health is going to just stack your special offense all the way to the ceiling. Like it makes him ludicrously strong without actually having to use a ton of offense mods. Like you could be really fast and have him hit super hard. Like it's one of those combos that I'm super excited. Once if all we need is like one other Jedi to kind of bring that team together, and it's going to be on. Right now, it doesn't quite work, but like it's scary. It is really scary, in fact. So, having him fast, I see that in my future. I guess the main reason I bring this up is, yeah, like you don't have much reason not to make him fast, other than you need mod efficiency. Like I just love the idea of just giving him like my garbage-ish mods and have him still be as fast as normal, and then use my fast mods in other places.
Sure. One of my pet peeves on our Discord servers, somebody will post a mod that didn't slice, because we have our slice 'em up room where people post all the mods that make me want to give the middle finger and curse and cry at the same time because they're so good. And they'll post the mods that didn't slice, and everyone's always like, that's such a great mod. And it's like, it has 5 speed. Like, great, you've hit 112 offense. It has 5 speed. There's like 5 characters total that can use that mod. Sometimes Yoda can use that mod. Like he's one of those characters that can use that mod that did not slice speed.
Yep, him and like Nest and a few others, but yeah.
Like Spy can too, and they're Resistance Trooper. There are a few. They're limited though. They're limited in the ones that don't want speed.
Yep, and a lot of those characters would still enjoy speed.
Yes. Yeah. So. Right. Okay. Let me get back to the podcast question page.
That one took a while.
I did. I thought that would be a fun one, especially since we didn't have a lot of news.
That was a good one.
Actually, that kind of sums it up, because I have the last one on here we already answered on Friday. So that's our podcast questions. Look at that. Thank you, everybody, for submitting the podcast questions. Guys, if you want to submit the podcast questions, join our Discord server. The link is down below. There is a podcast question channel on the page that you can submit your questions, and we will answer them the next week. So thank you to those that have submitted some questions for this week. Actually, in the past couple days, because we answered a lot Friday as well.
We appreciate it, guys.
So I'm trying to think. Okay. Our next segment is usually our alt life. We did not have a Grand Arena, but this past week, but you were going for top spots on both of your alt accounts. Our last podcast was Monday, so you did not get to say where your accounts faced, even though you kind of hinted at one earlier today. So why don't you give an update on your alts and how they finished last season?
Sure, thanks. So my Prevail Man account, I wasn't able to full clear. Like there was like 3 or 4 fights I couldn't full clear because Division 10 is just like, if your opponent has the right teams and they want to block you, you have no option. You have no recourse, really. And so that's what happened. I did go undefeated with Prevail Man in Division 10. I think I ended up in top 30 somewhere. It was either in like maybe I'm placed 30th to 30 somethingth. I don't know, but I did well enough. Undefeated, 12-0, so that was good. Certainly top 50. And now this season I'll be at the very, very top of the GP range for Division 9. In fact, I've stopped upgrading for like the past week because I literally have no wiggle room. I actually have to take a mod off of Ahsoka to make it work in Division 9. And I'm not trying to be clear, I'm not trying to cheese it to like get easier matchups or something. I would be fine in Division 8. In fact, I think I'd be more comfortable there. But what I'm trying to do is at least one season in each division on that account. So I was in Division 10 last time. I want to do 9. Hopefully it'll be easier to stay in Division 8. So I don't have to mess with GP, but I will mess with GP again if that's what's required. So did well in that account, undefeated so far. And then my alt account ended up, man, I was pretty confident. I was like, oh, this is cool. As long as the cheater doesn't beat me, I win. And there was a guy who was just kind of holding his feet till the end, and he ended up blowing me out of the water. So I didn't get first. Like he beat me by like 100 GP or 100 banners, sorry, or more than that even. So huge congrats to, I think his name is Ender7. He's hangs out on the Operation Metaverse boards, so or Discord. So that's huge props to him. Well deserved, not sketchy at all. I looked at his GAC history, like not a cheater as far as I could tell. Or if he is cheating, like huge props to him faking me out. So and then I did end up losing, quote unquote, to the guy who cheated. He got second, but he's a big cheater face, and I don't consider him as part of the competition. So I ended up in third by a fairly big margin as well. If Ender7 had tripped up on something, then I would have been able to step in and take the win, or rather like get all angsty because I lost to the cheater. And then we'd start some drama. But no, I'm sure there would be some. But ended up in third place, really in second place. So that's my second consecutive second place in Division 2 on my alt. So that was good feeling and sad. I really wanted that account bling. I wanted the win, but I mean, the guy earned it. He even faced like other Galactic Legends. He had a Galactic Legend of his own. Like mad props to him. Nothing but respect. So second place one more time in Division 2, and then I've also put an upgrade freeze on my alt as well, because otherwise I'd be in Division 1 right now.
So let me ask you this. Is there any reason other than wanting to hit every division to manipulate your GP to hit every division on the way up?
Other than just like I don't know if symmetry isn't quite the right. Like I like how it looks. I like the idea of saying like, oh yeah, when I was in this division, I did this.
Right.
No.
Okay. Because I mean, you are kind of doing this account to show people how to grow, essentially, and part of that is showing the different divisions. So it makes complete sense. But for anybody out there listening, is there any difference between 9 and 8?
No, not. Well, maybe in how many teams are deployed. I genuinely have not looked. That's not something I've ever really paid attention to. Like, it's not a consideration I make because the way I feel like you should be making your accounts at that level, you should be making them really wide and dispersed. Like, you should have a ton of teams available, as opposed to like being really top heavy and having like a couple really strong teams. And so it actually benefits you to increase your GP to the point that you get to the next level, so that you're facing people who are more spread out, because your roster can just inevitably deal with that dispersion, like with those spread out teams better. So like in general, I think that it's wiser to jump division when you can, up to a certain point at least. So yeah, like you said, Solo, I'm just trying. I want to show people what to do in each division, and so that's what I'm doing.
Right. Okay. So that's our alt. Well, that's your alt. My alt did nothing this week, or last week even. So our last segment is really what are we doing to prepare for 3v3 or in this upcoming week? And actually, we both did make moves. Mine wasn't really for 3v3; it was just in general. But I feel like yours was pretty much for 3v3. So, what'd you do on your main account? What did you upgrade, getting you ready for this
Man.
3v3 season?
Yeah, I'm ridiculous. You know what? I'm just gonna blame Clash here. So,
We do that
all right,
often.
yeah, like seriously, Clash, like what the hell, man? No, so Clash has this video of Cassian and K2 with Mon Mothma beating General Grievous teams, and it's like consistent, and I've seen other people do it actually now, and it works. And so I have my K2 and Cassian up to Relic 5. Just decided to go all the way to 5 for some reason, and remodded Mothra to give her a lot of tenacity, and it's going to be interesting. I think my K2 has 111k protection.
That's ridiculous.
It
Uh,
is. It's gross.
Now you need that Zeta to grow it by 1% every time.
I know. Like I would totally gain like 1k
Though
protection every time he went.
that Zeta does. Uh, damn you, Clash. That Zeta does do a lot, and he's made me contemplate that Zeta. But yeah. Uh, okay. So,
Yeah, it actually, you know what? Because it's every time he goes, and so he's attacking out of turn a lot because he's countering. Like
right.
it, if it was 2%, I would have done it for sure. 1% just seems a little too low. We'll see. I will actually not close the door on that Zeta. I will close the door on the Cassian Zeta unless someone gives me a good reason. Like if it's undispellable, I would maybe consider the Cassian uh, Zeta. Because Cassian, for those of you listening who don't want to look it up, Cassian Zeta at the start of the battle gives all rebel allies 20% protection up, which could be good if it was like kind of like a mini version of Bastila's, like you just get extra hit points. But it's like the second you hit someone who can dispel, then it's just gone, and you wasted a Zeta.
Yeah.
So
Right. Like, say B2, who you plan on using him against.
yes, or like Night Sisters, for instance. I don't know if I'm going to use the team on Night Sisters. Maybe I'll think about it, but
I don't know in 3v3, but in 5v5, they destroy Night Sister, so I fully support that idea
yes.
if you want.
What and oh yeah, so the other big move I made. Sorry, I know, and I know you have big stuff too. I also have Queel and IG-11 who have been kind of just waiting in the wings. They're finally at Gear 11 and Relic 5, no less. So I did mod them as best I could. I didn't give them any like really strong mods, but they're relatively fast-ish, and IG is going to be a huge pain in the ass to kill wherever I end up putting him. So
Yeah.
I gained 20 relic levels last night, actually,
That's.
which is actually a lot now that I say it out loud.
That is a lot of relic levels, yes. Yes, it is.
And probably why you and I are so close in matchup, GP.
Probably. Now go
What,
apply a Zeta, please.
I know. Cassian, here I come. What about you, though, Solo? You did some good stuff, too.
I did. So I got, um, thanks to all the assault battles that were last week, or over the break, I'm losing track of weeks. I got a ton of Kyrotechs and the finisher pieces, thanks to us having two a day, basically. So I found two characters that used opposite Kyrotechs, or opposite Kyrotechs. I got Pow to G13, and I know, oh God, I would have hated myself a year ago. But I got POW to G13, and I think Relic 3, and then I also got Range Trooper up to G13, and I think Relic 3 as well. So Range completes my Trooper team now. Like we talked about earlier, I don't know how he's going to do in 5v5, but POW, man, I love that Mon Mothma team in POW. And, like I said earlier today, I had them on auto at one point in my territory battle today and still easily finished 4 for 4. Like, I finished 4 for 4 with full health and protection, and the fourth wave didn't take a single turn. It is quite absurd, so I'm quite happy with that. I also, my big focus this past week was actually on getting IG-11's mods to 6E as well, because I have a bunch of health primaries on them, and health primary sucks if you don't have a 6E mod. So I was able to get my IG up to 130k health, thanks to 2 6E mods that were applied, and that is going to be a nightmare for people.
What was how much health did you say? We'll have
it's 130k.
130k. Let's see, what am I at?
Yeah.
Oh, dude, mine's at exactly. It's at 130k and 30, which I'm sure yours is a slightly more than the 30 too.
Mine is 130,914.
Yeah. So yours is actually 131k basically, but
just under. Yeah. And look at this, Fort Mort with the raid. Hello to the battalion.
Hello, everyone.
Sorry to say, we just basically finished, but thank you for joining, guys.
Zeppers is going to get the biggest raid ever.
Oh, is Zeppers going? Good. I like raiding it as Zeppers.
Yeah. You never know what's going on there, but he's a good time.
Hopefully he has the smoke screen up.
I'll tell you this. So we were all like pretty self-contained during our Friday night our stream, and then when we raided into Zeppers, like we never all just like dissolved into like childish laughter at all until like something Zeppers was doing was just like so funny to you, like in an altered state to all of us, and we laughed so hard like the second we raided into Zeppers. It was
basically, yeah.
It made me so happy, actually. But like I was laughing along when I was doing the editing at the end, because we still had that recorded.
Yep.
Anyways.
Real quick, Frodo, light side territory battles. Use rebels or shock troopers for the last combat mission. I'm like 50-50 with rebels. Sometimes I go 4 for 4 and it's like nothing, and sometimes they just get deleted early. So I like shock troopers better just because they're a guaranteed 3 for 4 at the very least. With that said, it is actually, sorry guys that raided, it's time to quit because I have to go to work early. So thank you everybody that joined us. We do appreciate it. Thank you to everyone that submitted the podcast questions. You guys submitted some great ones, except for Froda that did not get read. Sorry, Froda, but not sorry at the same time. We are going to raid into Dr. Zepper. So before we do that, real quickly, how you find us. And Endall just got in. Welcome, Endall. You missed a lot.
Only all of it.
Yeah. Keely, thank you for the follow. So here's how you can find us, guys. Listen, on this page, the Gambit podcast page, we are going to have our Friday night Gambit Fight Night. That is with both of us and a special guest. You can find me on Twitch at just SoloBase15. You can find Zareth at Twitch at Zareth_prevails. That's XAERETH_prevails. We will be streaming our Grand Arena fights on Wednesdays and Sundays. We like to raid into each other. So you can easily find both of us if you find one of us. They're on YouTube. You can find me at SoloBase15. You can find Zareth at just Zareth. XAERATH on YouTube. You can find all the links in the description below, and if you're listening to the podcast, in the description of the podcast. 3v3 is starting. You're going to need to find out how to use counters. We have a counter sheet that is going to show you the 3v3 team that was faced, the 3v3 team that was used to beat that team, and then most importantly here is going to be a timestamped link to the video of that actual counter, so you will see how the counter operates. It's probably the best tool out there for figuring out counters. There's a lot of useful ones, but actually seeing how the counter is run is pretty damn nice. So there's a link to that below as well. Guys, thank you so much for joining. That's good fight, good night, I guess.
Yeah, guys, it's been a lot of fun. We'll see you next week with reports of our crushing victories, or potentially with a bittersweet account of how me and Solo did against each other if we end up getting paired.
Oh God, I hope not.
Me too. Stay away from me. Don't you wish that evil on me?
All right, guys. Remember, evil sucks, and have a good week.
Yeah, guys, don't be dicks. Have a good week.
Yep. And let's go harass Seppers now.
Excellent.
Okay, we are